Welcome to Don't Do Stupid Shit to Your Body on OMTimes Radio with inventor, author, engineer, and rebel Gail Lynn. Gail has over 3 decades of solving her own health mysteries and then helping thousands of others find a better quality of life through sound, light, frequency, and vibration. She has witnessed countless stories of people harming themselves, some resulting in death, just because they didn't know any better. Her hope is to educate people to be more discerning and critically think about the sources of information being researched, as well as products and modalities being used to determine if or how they are biased and misleading. Don't Do Stupid Shit is inspiring, honest, authentic, and unapologetic. Listen now to laugh and learn from Gail Lynn and her guests as they discuss how to be more discerning with healers, energy modalities, what you put into your body, and, most importantly, to listen to your body. Here is your host, Gail Lynn.
Hey, welcome everyone. Hey, I was reading some science articles recently, and I was reading an article today about how beer contains female hormones. So they took 100 guys, gave them 100 ounces of beer, and then they observed all of them talking nonsense and they couldn't drive. Okay, did you guys get it? Did you get it? Boom, 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 boom. All right, today I am with, I don't write them, I just tell them. Today I'm with Sam. She is amazing, you guys. You guys are going to learn a lot from her. So my producer says groan. You guys are going to learn a lot from her today. And I wanted to have her on just to kind of teach you. She loves talking about hormone imbalances, hence the joke for you, Sam. And she loves to talk about gut health, right? But who is Sam? So just like most healers, she had her own struggles with her health. And after years of swimming and water polo, field hockey, you've done everything. Badass, right? Total badass. You went to University of Michigan, go blue, where my sister actually lives in the Ann Arbor area. And you studied kinesiology. I think it was sports medicine? I'll let you kind of tell the story about who you are. But then you turned into a fitness coach, a music DJ, and then a producer. Then you combine those and you said, let me just do fitness CDs.
This orders. So I'm like, where are you going?
Right. I'm like, you did it all.
It sounds like your version I really like. It sounds really good.
I tried to compress it.
Is definitely not that version.
Yeah, no, I tried to compress it. I'm like, Rita, I'm like, how do I explain who this chick is? And so then you had the adrenal fatigue, the food allergies, the weight issues, leaky gut. And of course, you probably now know that your perfect diet wasn't perfect and food allergies, quote unquote allergies. So we're going to get into all that stuff. So if you want to introduce yourself, and then I think I'd like you to start out by maybe educating everybody on why you think, now that you know what you know now, why do you think you got sick? So I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay. Well, anyway, I'm Samantha. I did have my major sports were rowing, swimming, and synchronized swimming were probably the big ones. But I am a functional diagnostic nutritionist, a personal trainer. I do nutrition. Run the gamut. I run all the labs, functional labs, which we'll probably get into if you don't know what that is, because a lot of people don't. But it's sort of specialty labs. It's like you get the DiGiorno pizza at the grocery store, but then you go to that really, really good pizza shop down the street, and then you get the good shit. That's the kind of labs I run. And I get to kind of the root cause of why you are told everything's fine and in your gut, you're not fine. I'm in recovery. So I had a bout with, I was a drug addict and, alcoholic. So I have that as part of my story, which is pretty significant. I don't think that's why I was so unhealthy. Is that enough about me? Do you want me to keep going?
Yeah, I would like you to kind of share a little bit more. Yeah, about.
I'm a single mom. I was going to talk about how I think I got sick next.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah, and I'm my birthday's December 20th, 1980s. If you're into the zodiac thing, I'm really into that. Like I'm surrounded by Sagittarius and Capricorn all right now, and I know you're into numbers, so I was going to share this. I was excited to get you on to hear your thoughts. Is if any of you guys get this, where you look at the clock and it's all the same number. So this is new for me. I have all sorts of friends who get this all the time, but today alone, it was 1111 and 111. And every day, 555, 333, but I'm 111, 1111s, all ones. They're like my text messages all have a number 111 on the corner. This past 3 or 4 weeks, and my life's been like all this crazy stuff. And look at Heather, whoever's listening right now has a daughter that is December 20th. I tell you, it's something is going on in the universe with the Sagittarius and me. But so when do I think it happened? So I was a hardcore, athlete. So I was doing extreme amounts of exercise. So it wasn't just like playing, baseball a little bit. I was doing like a lot. And especially when I got into the rowing, even the synchronized swimming when I was young, it was hours in the pool of practicing. So I think that is very stressful on the body alone, because your body doesn't know the difference between good stress and bad stress. So just that exercise, like that's why I try to tell people like cardio isn't always the answer. And I remember being so incredibly tired, like all the time. And it started around the third grade-ish. And that's when I was doing a lot of camping, a lot of like outdoor stuff. So I was like, I was probably getting a lot of dirt, let's just say, in my body. And my gut health, I was on a lot of antibiotics, sort of in that like middle school, high school range. So a lot of antibiotics. My mom, we had a really clean diet growing up. So I think between the antibiotics, being outside as much as I was, my body was overworked, and I think my gut health went was just awful, and I couldn't pass through. I was a great host for anything. And by 5th grade, I had stomach aches so bad that I remember it wasn't like I was trying to get out of school, but I couldn't go to like school. My stomach hurt so bad. Like that's where the stomach part started. And it was like, I was always kind of like, I'm this hardcore athlete kind of kid, but I was like puffy always and kind of like thick, but I wasn't fat by any means, but I was like puffy, like overworked, like inflammation. Now looking back, like it just inflamed. And my dad grew up where he was like a tall twig. My brother's a tall twig, and my mom is like a tall twig. She's like a normal size now. So, so I didn't quite fit the mold of my family either. And I just remember being chronically tired and having stomach aches. And that's where I started getting, like, they prescribed me the IBS meds. Belladonna was one. And I remember reading about it. And belladonna is an herb that used to put under a child's pillow, like way back in the day, to help them to not have nightmares. And so I guess it helps slow, or Klonopin maybe, or clonazepam. I don't remember what the other one was, but somewhere to like, relax your gut muscles so things could flow through. Because I remember it was like kind of like, I remember having diarrhea once I finally went to the bathroom, but then being constipated all the time. I just remember sitting on the toilet for like ever, and then finally I would go to the bathroom. And yeah.
Well, I actually, like, that the antibiotics destroy your gut bacteria. And, we try to tell people to take, silver, which doesn't destroy the good bacteria, but can destroy the bad bacteria. But I want to go back to the numbers thing before we get too far down the road. But because if you look up angel numbers, so I get the numbers all the time. 444 is a big one right now. My mom is 111 or 1111. Just like angel numbers. So if you go to Google, everybody that's listening, when you keep seeing a reoccurring number, go to Google or internet and search angel number 444, angel number 221, whatever it is. And there's a message for you. And
it's a good thing. I was like creeped out by it. I was like, something.
Just like our body gives us messages. So right now I have like a right wrist. I took my little brace off, but right wrist is something. And I look it up in the book, and it's exactly what I'm dealing with some emotions. And so my sister has a left ankle thing. And so she says, okay, can you look up left ankle for me and let me know? And first sentence, run amok anxiety. And that's her anxiety is just all over the place. And so I would tell people, if you don't listen to your body, it can result in death. Maybe you stub your left toe, maybe you twist your right knee, maybe you injure your right shoulder. But you got to listen. And I've actually have clients that are with ALS right now in a wheelchair because they probably stubbed their toe and sprained their ankle and hurt their tooth. Yeah.
We can get into that story. I mean, I fight to get teeth pulled from like a normal dentist. So yeah, we can.
Let's get into that too.
My gut told me everything. So because we haven't really spoken since I was probably kind of going through it a little bit, because it's been almost a year since I've been trying to work on this. And like, if I don't think anyone else, unless they were like a real like in-depth practitioner, would have ever figured it out. And they would have just been, I mean, I was living off antibiotics, like, and I know better, like months, double stacking, taking everything, switching them up.
Yeah.
And I know we do that. Couldn't get out of bed. And it was the only thing that could help me. I was on hydrocortisone, every adrenal thing. Like it wasn't. Yeah.
Yeah. And we don't know what we don't know. And that's why I created the show, is because I think, my parents were medical error deaths because they didn't know. My mom was overprescribed migraine medicine, that she didn't have migraines. She just had bad headaches, and then expands and contracts the blood vessels in the brain. And you can only pull the rubber band so many times before it snaps. So she died of a brain aneurysm. I know there's just stuff that happens, and we want to educate people to do a deeper dive, listen to your body. So what, you can look up that tooth number too, the tooth meridian chart.
I got my meridian chart. I'm like, well, have you seen my Instagram? I have like literally the top biological dentists all booked for the next month and a half. I'm literally like, I'm thinking about going to be like a dental hygienist, so I can be like a functional practitioner in a like biological dentist office. Like I would go back to dental school right now. Like I'm really into it. It's crazy.
So tell us what that tooth is and what number it is.
So that is, hold on. That one is, I think what is that, number 4? This is 19. So 19, so like the thing is, like, I've already spent over $10,000 easy in the past couple months on all this. And so, you used to get to the point where you're trying to do stuff with insurance, and you're trying to do stuff like holistically, like just so you can, I mean, I'm a single mom with a kid, and it's like, I'm so torn. So I have like 5 dentists at this point. So, it's like you're looking into doing the ceramic implant, which is ideal, but I do have a titanium one, and I'm okay with titanium, but I'd rather have, and then if you have multiple metals, like some people have mercury and like multiple different types of metal, you literally become a active battery, like in your mouth. So like anyway. So the biggest thing I noticed is when I got this one was going on, and I had like this chronic, like shoulder, like really bad shoulder thing going on. And then my big toe, my right foot big toe is like cramps up, and it still kind of actually does it. But after I got the first root canal done on this, when they wouldn't pull it, that all went away. Like, and then knee pain all went away within a day. So it all like, I mean, it's like a chart. You can look it up.
People don't realize how a tooth problem can relate to a heart problem, a kidney problem. I've had so many of those. So tooth 19, it's on what meridian?
Yeah. So 19 on the lower is, let's see. So this goes into front of the knee, hand, radial foot, big toe, C, and then spinal C5, 6, 7, T2, T3, T4, L4, L5, and then vertebrae C5, C6, C7, 2, T2, 3, 4, L. And then
so someone with back pain could actually have a tooth problem.
So get this out. So lung, so I have an Oura ring. So they started doing your oxygen levels on it now. And then they do your heart rate variability. You should see, this is how I knew I had an infection, was because of my Oura ring. So if you look at my heart rate, that's the only reason why I kept fighting with it. Because I was like, dude, my temperature is, you can look and like track the whole months. So my heart rate variability and my oxygen levels were like way off. I woke up every day and everything was in the red on my Oura ring. And my temperature was like out the roof. And it wasn't my period or anything. I was like had an infection. And so lungs, so my breathing and respiratory was off. Large intestines, my gut, I don't know. I mean, I didn't notice a big one with that. And then veins and arteries was that one.
Okay.
But that was after the root canal. It was better, and then it all came back.
Wow.
And then I got an infection in the upper tooth, and then like it just was the whole thing. And I eventually ended up at a biological dentist who did, if you do it, you got to do the cone scan. So I got a cone scan, and they can read where all your infections are. So
Is it similar to like a thermogram to see the heat, or what is a cone scan? I haven't heard of that.
It's like kind of like a CT scan, like an MRI, kind of like that, but it's like a cone scan where it can like, they'll go to the darker areas of like the x-ray, and the numbers on them determine where the infection level is.
Okay.
And so I had an infection up here. He's like, you're infected. Well, they always say you have to get the cavitations from your wisdom teeth because there's bad bacteria in there. So that, I feel like that's kind of one they always say. So I don't know. And that was just my plan to do that. Right. But it turned out I had an infection up here. So I went and got this one redone. The root canal was not fully done. So there was a part of it that was not done. And then the filling had been, could have been partially like opened up, or who knows. But so that developed an infection. So you should get your root canal teeth, if you have them still, check it every year with a cone scan is what I'm going to do. So then, and then this one, I got infected, and we did a root canal redo. And we just like, I let that infection kind of like die down. But I always felt like this, like every morning I woke up, it felt like I had like a tampon, like a small tampon up here. And I'd like push it, and I'd do sovereign.
It's a great visual.
Well, I had the deviated septum surgery. So, and that's a big part of it too. Like the thumb sucking I did as a child, and what it does to your palate and how it messes. I also had the deviated septum. Like, it's like, this is why my teeth, it's not even like, it's crazy the shit I'm learning.
Yeah. No, this is so good for people to hear, because people are told you're crazy. There's nothing wrong with you. We want to get into the functional labs, because functional labs are different than the medical labs. And then that's different from the reference ranges versus the healthy reference ranges, because my sister felt like shit. And the doctor's like, your blood work is pristine. And she's like, I don't feel pristine.
No, I look great. Maybe my hormones were a little low. I don't know, on all the like normal blood work.
Right.
But I reran all my labs, even my food sensitivity test, which I don't really do anymore. I ran all my labs, and nothing was better. And I was like, I couldn't like push this thing out. And I was like, well, I'm just going to have to deal with that later. Right? I had a bridge that was attached to a tooth that I kind of cracked. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to deal with that one too. But then this bottom one, I ended up, the guy's like, it's infected. So I'd had that root canal, but then I had got infected, and nobody would fucking pull it. I'm like, and I was like, it's not a root canal, because the root was fine when they did it. And I'm like, it's not a root canal. You just need to pull it. I went to 4 dentists, consults on everyone. Like, nobody would do it. And finally I got a guy, or finally the biological dentist I was like, just fucking pull it. Pulled it out. It was cracked and had a massive cyst on it.
Wow.
So that was causing pressure. Then that little pain thing, I got that one redone. So I was feeling better, but then this still was like going on. Then all of a sudden I couldn't get out of bed again. And my temperature started going up on my Oura ring, and my toes started hurting. And I'm like, I'm telling you, this isn't getting better. Like something and I kept getting x-rays, and they're like, it's a perfect root canal. I just went to the biological dentist. I'm like, fuck it. At this point, I'm missing all these teeth. Like, just pull it. Because at that point, my bridge had broken off on that tooth. So it was flat anyway. So then to get a new bridge, they wanted to put a post into it, to a tooth that was already had 2 root canals done, put a post into it. I'm like, even I know that's just stupid, because it's not, the integrity of the tooth is shot. I'm like, just pull it, pull it out. And there was like a big cyst on the bottom of it.
Oh my God.
So that tiny little thing, it wasn't huge, but it was like tiny. It's tiny when you look at it, but it was causing all that sinus thing, where it felt like I had a chronic sinus infection.
Yeah.
That's like,
I'm so glad that you listen to you listen to your body though. And most people are like, oh, well, I'm just getting older. You know, your teeth get worse, your eyes get worse, you get gray hair, you start aging, but that's not necessarily true if we're listening. Right. So tell us more about the functional labs.
Yeah. I just went on a tangent about my mom. Sorry.
No, you're fine, because you know what? People need to hear this.
Like, all my clients, my intake forms have like I talk about the mercury fillings and all
Yep.
that, but like my intake forms are completely different now. Like when I do a discovery call, I get into the mouth. Like,
so yeah, I had 8 fillings. We had a dentist when we were kids, and they just were, cavity happy. We didn't have cavities, but they filled all of our molars. So my brother had all of his molars filled. I had all my molars filled, and we switched dentists. My sister never had a cavity after we switched dentists. So this guy was screwing the family and taking our money and filling our teeth with mercury. So I had all those replaced with like a white composite, but there's still toxins in that. I wish I never would have, that dentist ruined so much. And then I had heavy metal poisoning, working in automotive, and then my hair was falling out. There's so many different symptoms of heavy metal poisoning we can get into as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a lot. It's all a lot. It's a lot to take care of yourself. It's crazy. And it's just like, the more you want to educate your kids so they can just be aware of it. But it's like, I don't want to scare my kid. So it's like a fine line. Like, I don't want to scare him. Like, my kid has to get a filling. Like, I'm like, but at least now he knows, like, brush your teeth and the sugar. But like, I try to explain, like, he's seeing me go through it. I'm like, dude, you don't want a mouth like mine. But so the labs that I run, so like typically when I do a really long, extensive like medical history. And the most common things that I need to get going that I run with people are going to be like a food sensitivity test, because most people are going to have, nobody doesn't have food sensitivity. So when someone's like, I only had one thing and I ran it, I got this thing off Groupon. Well, that's not shit lab. Okay. So, and basically what it is for me is to give them like a safe plan on what the heck to eat. Because a lot of people are like, I get bloated. I'm shitting too much. I can't. I get this. So like, let's just make it so we can reduce inflammation and we know exactly what foods are best for your body, and like not play the guessing game. We're going to run a lab. I've double blind it. Like it's a good lab. And then I also do like a full nutrition consult and all that stuff with that. So that's where I can get like the nutrition. So we start with the diet. We start with nutrition, because even if someone comes to me and they're like doing the intermittent fasting and eating all organic, they usually don't. Number one, probably shouldn't be intermittent fasting or doing keto or all that shit.
Right.
I really pull everybody off that. Like, I don't know, but there's a time and a place.
There's a time and a place. There's a time and a place for Western medicine and, things like that. But when people are on these keto diets, it's creating a fatty liver.
Yeah. It's just,
so, yeah. So the food sensitivities, how are you testing those? And why do you think people have food sensitivities? Is it their body makeup, their blood type? What do you think?
I think that Eat Right for Your Blood Type book is pretty good, actually. But
I think,
but there's a lot of things you can follow. It just gets overwhelming. Yeah. So I try to keep it easy, because the people I have some people who can't even fill out intake forms. They're so stressed out. Wow. So for me, when you eat the same food over and over, you're going to create an intolerance to it, most likely. So if you're eating oatmeal and eggs every single day for breakfast, then you're probably going to have a food sensitivity to it. That does not mean that you can't add it back in. This is not an allergy test. So it's not going to be like an acute response where you need like an EpiPen. So it's more gradual. So you could actually see an increase in your cortisol due to something you ate at noon the day before, because it's a gradual inflammation or reaction in the body. You could feel it right away. You could all of a sudden, you could check your pulse, your pulse right before, and then where it is after you eat, like it might go way up. But then there comes in like your thyroid testing, like with all that pulse stuff. But then,
well, and I do like Peter Diadamo's, the Eat Right for Your Type. When I used to do bodybuilding. And so, first day chest and tries, back and buys, take a day off, legs, whatever. And we would eat so much. So after I broke up with that guy when I was, I think it was 17 or something. I mean, I had some guns on me, you wouldn't believe. And then I turned to flab really fast, as you understand. And I started eating. I actually was up to a size 12 or 14, which is, big for me. And then I started the Eat Right for Your Type, blood type diet. I'm, blood type. And I got down to a size 4-6 within 6 months, just eating the right foods. It was crazy fun. Yeah,
it's a good one. I'm like one of those where I just need like a lab, because where I was so far gone by the time. Yeah. Because so well, anyway, I'm gonna finish something, then circle back.
Okay. After you finish this next thought, we'll go to a commercial break. So go ahead.
Okay. So what the thing is like, so you eat the same foods over and over, you create your own sensitivity to it. But there's also like that's why the Whole30 is so great in some ways, is because it has the most common food sensitivities, because it's in all of our products and we don't even realize it. So we're getting exposed to it. So I always tell people, rotate a 4-day rotation. Rotate your foods every 4 days. You can add something back in. It's not that hard. Plan it out on a schedule. They act like I'm like making their diet boring, but really they were eating the same thing every day. So I'm not sure how that's the concept of that. But for me, the biggest thing is, and maybe it's because I got the addict in me, but I notice it with people who have, this has been coming up a lot, is people who have addictions to food and the inability to stop eating no matter what the fuck it is. And that's where I sort of was I was eating. You couldn't pay me to have a cheat meal when I was a personal trainer and trying to figure out why I was just stuck. Like I couldn't get any results and I just kept feeling worse. I would not binge, but I would eat dinner and then I would just keep eating, and it would be like spinach, carrots, almonds. Like I couldn't stop. And when I ran my lab, all those foods came up on it. I mean, I had so many. It was probably one of the worst ones I've seen. And I was eating reactive foods. So when you eat the reactive foods, and this is why I'm telling this, because people think it's their fault. Like they're not strong enough to resist the foods. And it's not them. It could be something in the gut. But a lot of times it's so much more than that. But when you eat it, you're going to release the serotonin and the dopamine. And it's like that feel good feeling, like doing drugs or drinking or sex or whatever it is. So you keep doing it. Mm-hmm. And then you can't stop. Right. Well, if you're me, you can't stop. Because
a lot of people are that way. A lot of people are definitely that way. And so, yeah, I think like you said, it's so perfect what you said. If you think about your glass being half full and then you keep adding those foods, all of a sudden it's spilling over. So you have a food sensitivity to it. You've got to kind of detox and, start eating some different things.
Yeah.
So, okay, we'll continue. Go ahead. Do you have a last thought before the commercial break?
And I just want people to know, like, it does not forever thing. Like you remove the foods, you can eventually add them back in. But if you do like a big step that practitioners miss, if you meet a practitioner that does not do the gut healing, find a new one. Because if you do the gut healing work, like me, I do have guilty pleasures. I can eat it and not feel like I'm going to die like I used to. Right. And that's my goal for my clients, to be able to have like a life and like enjoy what they want.
I love that, because a lot of people they beat themselves up. It's their fault. It's not, it's not. And you can go back to it. I tell people, when you have a viral load, get off the eggs. You can go back to them, but eggs can feed a virus. So get off the eggs. Okay. We'll take a commercial break and we'll be right back.
OMTimes TV. Imagine becoming a super influencer. Reinvent yourself, invest in your brand, and then manifest your success with a robust spheric approach. OMTimes Media and Broadcasting offers a unique and multifaceted way to become the spiritual and conscious influencer you deserve to be by putting your message across our powerful platform with its proven record of integrity and excellence. Through our produced shows, OMTimes offers the opportunity to become a social media TV personality, a radio show host, an OMTimes magazine columnist, and a syndicated podcaster, all in one shot. By live streaming your show on OMTimes TV and broadcasting it across the extensive OMTimes radio and TV networks, you become more than a host. You become an ambassador and a force for positive change. OMTimes. Open yourself to the possibilities. Sound and light therapy have been used in healing for thousands of years. In today's fast-paced world, our bodies and minds are more stressed than ever. Stress is known to be the #1 reason for many diseases and illnesses. Current lifestyles are causing premature deaths and preventable diseases. What can you do? Get a Lift. A powerful, self-evolving resonant sound and light chamber reduces stress, can be used daily, and offers individuals peace and tranquility while restoring the body and mind to its natural state of vitality. Visit letitflowtherapy.com.
Baby, and old days are gone. That's why I'm never gonna let you go. Never gonna let you go. Babe, I'm never gonna let you go. No, no, never gonna let you go.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Never gonna let you go. Never gonna let you go.
And we're back. I just love saying that. So we've been talking about how teeth problems can cause, illnesses in your body and different uncomfortable situations in your body. Talking about lab tests, food sensitivities. We're talking about maybe how to listen to your body. And we want to be more proactive than reactive. So I remember there's a thing. What's that?
It's like my jam, that phrase. I'm always
yeah,
like,
right.
I don't know if you heard me say that or not. Or
I'm sure I have. Yeah, I studied you a little bit. I was looking at your latest Instagrams, and we want to talk about free medicine because that Instagram you did on free medicine. I want to talk about that. But the Dalai Lama says, I'm paraphrasing, but something about we spend all this time making all this money, and then the second part of our life when we retire, we spend all that money trying to get our health back. So I think he says it more eloquently, but like we sacrifice so much for money, and then we take and sacrifice all that money to get our health back. What the hell?
Right. I mean, $10,000. Think of what I could have done with that.
Right, for you and your kid, right? But you know what?
I
screwed up so much.
Money on my health. I mean, look what I learned, and now I'm like opening up a chapter with it, so it's fine.
I've spent tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands on, my people know my story, so it's boring, but I think we've done this so we can help people.
Yeah. I mean,
so this is where we are.
I wouldn't change it. Like I was just talking to someone. I was like, if I won the lottery, like I'd probably get a different car. But I mean, it's just I'm kind of a car person. I kind of downgraded with my kid. But like literally, I know like exactly what I would do with it. And none of it would be, it'd be like, I have like so many ideas. Like everyone's like, you were like the idea person, just stop. I'm like, the other day I sent something to a friend of mine. I'm like, oh, I got an idea. She's like, oh, Jesus. I'm like, I'm going to get someone, I'm going to pay a young child to make pill holders, like Monday through Wednesday pill. Cause people take so many supplements with me, and I'm going to get them bedazzled, like custom bedazzled pill holders. I was like, this is our $1 billion idea.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
All right. Well, let's go into the functional labs. How are they different than the medical labs?
So when you're looking at the labs that we run, a lot of times it's the testing. So the quality of the testing and the integrity of the testing is just at a way higher level, and it's way more comprehensive. So the data you're going to get is going to be way more comprehensive than what you get from just blood work. When you go into a doctor, typically they're like, okay, well, you feel like your hormones are a little low or whatever. Okay, well, let's do a blood draw. Okay, well, have you fasted to see if you have PCOS? What day of your cycle are you on? Like, are you even post-ovulation? Are you ovulating? Are you during your period? Like, they don't typically ask or do any of that. So right there, that throws away a lot of validity of the lab. Also your reference ranges that you're getting back. So like if you're testing your thyroid, it's going to be compared to like this massive reference range that has been developed from all the people with thyroid problems going in and all the sick people kind of, in the world. So the reference range is just huge. So we use a smaller reference range when we look at like blood work and the standard stuff. But like my other labs, I don't really have to like follow like a really strict guideline for like I use a Dutch hormone panel, and I don't have to find it. I like have a really strict guideline because it's a very accurate test.
Let me just explain to the audience too, because the Dutch test is one of the best tests out there for hormones, not a blood test. And you actually they have these little cards, if you will, and you pee on them, and you do it, first thing in the morning, and you do it, before lunch, and you do it in the afternoon, and then you do it after dinner and before bed. And if you wake up in the middle of the night, you get a bonus pee, card. So you can do that. But then you're seeing what's happening throughout the day with your body, not just a blood draw that maybe you didn't fast. Maybe you ate some shitty food the day before. It's going to show up and maybe scare you, and it's not accurate. The same with the thyroid panels. They test TSH. Yeah. And it's like, so if you have a 50 puzzle piece puzzle and you have one piece, can you get a full picture? Do you know what that puzzle is going to be when all 50 pieces are there? No, you are not going to know. So TSH is one piece of the puzzle for thyroid. They don't keep it, TPO, T3, T3 free, T4.
That's awesome.
So many.
Yeah, it's also like when my clients are like, oh, I had my cortisol tested. I'm like, you did? I was like, did you do a 24-hour like sample? Did you do like 6 samples? So you went to your doctor 6 times throughout the day and at night and got blood work? Like they do one sample, and let's say like you're going in to get a mammogram and you have to like get your blood drawn for cortisol that day. So you're already stressed out because you're going to get a mammogram because you never know, right?
Right.
I feel like it's kind of a stressful thing for someone.
It is.
Give me an example. And so you go in, and so you might have an elevated cortisol, and it's like 12 o'clock in the day. So like when you look at your cortisol, it's supposed to be a bell curve. So it's higher up in the, increases in the morning, goes down at night so you can sleep, melatonin goes up. So you look at for this bell curve, like this pretty little bell curve is like healthy. You want to produce cortisol, but if you get one snapshot of that big 24-hour sample at a random time during the day when who knows what's going on, you're not going to know anything. Like they're going to say, oh, it's fine, don't worry about it.
Right.
So the Dutch test does a 24-hour sample is what I'm saying.
I love the Dutch test, and I might be talking to you about that. But mammograms, I like to recommend thermograms for people. They're a little bit less stressful. My mom had a mammogram, and she had a very large mole, like right underneath her breast.
That's funny that they labeled mine because I have a skin tab from when I was pregnant, and they
And they didn't get back to her for, it seems like it was 2 weeks. So she worried for 2 weeks, and my dad was so pissed. He was like, when they said, oh, that was our error, that was her mole or whatever. My dad was like, you made my wife worry for 2 weeks because you can't determine a mole from a whatever.
Well, at least they didn't like just say, oh, whatever. Because I have a friend who had that and they said whatever, but she's just kind of a hypochondriac and knows a lot of doctors, happened to submit it to another radiologist. And at the very edge of her screen, he saw this little thing. It was cancer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So, I like the thermograms, versus the mammograms. But yeah, I can go off on tangents about tests all day long. And then like the heavy metal test, I used to use doctors' data, and one doctor said that the hair analysis isn't as accurate as a 6-hour or a 24-hour urine challenge, because then you're peeing throughout the day and seeing what is coming out throughout the day as your body's, functions are changing. Then you shake it up and send it into the lab. It seems to be the most accurate. Not a lot of people have patience for that.
Yeah, I do a lot of, if I do the heavy metals, because usually they spend a fortune on all the other labs with me. So the metals is kind of the last thing I tackle. Because like a lot of times I feel like the metals come up where it's like, if I get someone healthy enough and we know that there's like a history of like metals and the brain fog's not better and stuff, sometimes I will just have them do like some heavy metal work without it because they're strong enough, their immune system's strong enough. But like when I do it, I think it's like the hair test too. It can't be dyed hair. So like a lot of women have trouble with that, but like it's what's coming out of your body. But I feel like I can get enough data to be able to work with like the metals part of it. Cause it says they all say your thyroid's messed up. I feel like in your adrenal shot, but anyone who's doing a metals test, I feel like you're going to get that. But the people who I would do like a urine, like a more comprehensive would be, I had a guy who was overseas and he was like in like the guns and machinery and like all the toxic chemicals out in like Iraq, and like he had been exposed to like a lot
depleted uranium and all that. Yeah.
So like that's one I would, and I probably more so run that just because I want to see. But that's one I would definitely run a lab for, like 100%, like a more comprehensive. But there are some really great labs that are like up and coming. I'm finding that I really like. I haven't used them all, but they're getting better, and there are more of them. I do the Dutch, and that will do organic acids. It gets us a really good like foundational platform to work from. And organic acids does neurotransmitters. If I feel like the neurotransmitters need next level, we'll go to like Neurogenics or like some other lab to do neurotransmitter testing. And that one, I think there's spit, there's urine, there's different ones.
What about the poop? What do you use for your poop test?
So I can run them all, but I am just like, I got my heart in it with parasitology, and nobody uses it, but it's Parasitology Institute. I was trained under this woman, Emma Lane, who is, I can't even, she's like, it's like if someone ruined sex for you. It's like, she's so good. Like, I can't even, like, so knowledge. So, and it's like, it's, you know, in your gut, what she's saying is right. Like, I can't even, because everything I've learned from her has been spot on and worked for every one of my clients. Anything that I try to pick up that was maybe a new little modality where I like don't do my biofilm before or something, like it just doesn't work.
Well, I've done a lot of testing, and I worked with a parasitologist. He was a retired.
So that's what I say. So all their lab techs are parasitologists. So they are able to identify parasites from all over the world. It's not some insurance-based company that's like, yo, here you go. You got to get through this many tests a day, and they don't even know what they're looking for because they just know like US-based parasites or whatever they learned in school.
Correct. Well, that's the problem. And so I had a client who had red eyes, and he didn't have diabetes, but the bloodshot eyes were always there for like 20 years. So I said, we should do a parasite test for you. And because I had a good parasitologist.
Look at the time. Look at the time.
I had a good parasitologist. I know your time is 4:44. Yeah, it's 3:44 here. I had to do that math in my head.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. You're good.
Sorry.
So I had a good parasitologist, and he said, you know, he's got some parasites from, you know, like another country, because most of the time they test for 50 different parasites, and there maybe is 500 different parasites. And then they'll send you down the wrong rabbit trail and say, oh, you know, you don't have any parasites. Bull. Because he did, and we did a parasite cleanse, and the redness went away. And he told me 20 years ago he was in India. He must have picked up the parasite there.
Yeah,
it's so crazy. You have to find somebody good.
Yeah, so I feel like I've had so many. I'm kind of like one with the parasites. It's really weird. I know that sounds crazy, but I literally
need parasites
like I have too. Special like connection, because I could probably tell someone without running a lab if they have one or not. And it's not like the muscle testing. I just feel it energetically. And I'm not like, I'm a test, don't guess kind of person, but like if I do an intake form and I run a lab with someone and the results are not going like how they should, and I know the full health history and there's a lot of gut, like, that's when I'll be like, we're doing a parasite. We're just going to do a protocol on you. And that's when I will run it. I have one chick, she was better. And, I was like, you need to do it again. Like, I just was like, something's off. Like, and I was like, did your husband do it? And he's like, well, I never had him do it. I'm like, well, you're reinfected and you both have it. And you both have to do it.
So people don't understand that. They don't understand that. And if they sleep with their animals, or you have a horse, like
I'm doing a parasite protocol right now because my dog.
Yeah, because it just happens. We sleep with our pets.
Well, my butt was itchy during the full moon, and then he started doing a butt scoot, and I'm like, okay, it's time for us to do the parasite protocol. I'm like, I'm done.
And it's a thing people don't understand. Like that was the embarrassing thing when I found out I had parasites, because I had been to Mexico and I had steak tartare in Egypt, which was really stupid. Why am I eating raw steak in Egypt? That's, you know, I picked up a ton of parasites, and I was embarrassed to tell anybody. I'm like, my butt itches at night. Like, I didn't want to tell anybody. Yeah. And then I said, okay, I finally told somebody. They're like, you have parasites. I was like, oh, I'm so glad I told somebody. But it was embarrassing.
Oh, people tell me. I got a picture of someone's poop. I posted it the other day. And she's like, I think I need to run lab. I'm like, are you sure? Like, that doesn't really look like it. And I'm like zooming in. I'm like, did you eat cucumbers? And she's like, oh yeah, I did have 2 salads with cucumbers. I was like, give it a couple of days. It's cucumber seeds, dude.
Yeah.
But I love that I've taught people that. Like, I love that people are aware of that. People need to be aware. And parasites are no big deal, guys. Everybody, 99.9% of my clients have them. It's not a big deal. You do.
And if, like, my brother he was in the hospital for 4 months in a row. Every month he was in the hospital for kidney stones. And I realized it was a full moon every single month. And I was like, dude, you do a parasite cleanse. He hasn't been in the hospital since. Kidney stones, parasites, there's a relationship.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy fun stuff. I geek out on
it. I think the testing is really important. Like, So I went to this functional practitioner. I like paid her $4,000. I was so broke from doing all this health stuff. And this was like when I was like, I'm learning to do this myself. I'm done with this. And so I went into her and I had been on antibiotics. I was still on a probiotic. She gave me a stool test. I think the GI map, which is a good stool test, or Genova maybe at the time. And it's like, here you go, do the 1 day sample or 2 day. And I was like, and I knew enough at that point that like, this isn't like, I was like, this isn't right. This isn't even, I'm going to spend this money, but testing matters. Testing, like you want to do, I have people do 6 days. I have them do biofilm. I have them get off digestive enzyme. I have them get them off the probiotics. Like testing matters. So just getting a kit and reading the instructions. Even I don't even follow parasitology's testing instructions, because I used to do samples. So when I was trying to figure this out, I would do 4 days for this one lab that I was using. And so I made it so I would send in the kits, but I paid double, but I have 4 different days. So 2 days would have nothing. And then day 3, maybe something. And then day 4, nothing. So if you do a 1 day stool test and it happened to be one of those other days, you're going to have nothing.
Right.
So my clients are spending, almost $400 on a test and then working with me, I'm paying for all that. I'm going to be like, no, you're going to do this. You're going to get the most accurate test. I don't care. You can put 10 days in, but don't put less than 6.
Well, look in the chat. The epiphany was veterinarians treat all the dogs for parasites as their first, protocol, but yet humans, we treat the parasites last. That's good. That's good. So let's talk about, we got about 10 minutes left. So I love what you're saying. You're so brilliant. You have so many tools in your toolbox, let's say. So let's talk about the free medicine. A lot of people say, well, I can't afford it. I can't afford it. I can't afford it. Let's talk about free medicine because I love that.
I know. It's like, and I don't even think about it, right? Because I'm just, it's a way of life for me. So sometimes I have to dummy it down and be like, listen, I'm in a different place than most people. Like everything seems so easy to me. But, it just like the other day I was talking to someone and I was like, yeah, it's just like free medicine. I was like, what? I was like, I like that. I was like, I'm going to go with that, but it's true. So we can go grounding. There is a video on YouTube for anything and everything you could ever do. You could look up tapping. You can look up workouts. You can look up yoga. You can look up Pilates. You can look up breathing. Don't ever tell me you don't have a free resource for any of those modalities that are going to help get you into parasympathetic state, which is going to help calm down the body and help you heal. Right.
Your sunlight and your dancing, you love.
Sunlight. Yes. Sunlight. I love, like, it's sunny out. Like I was just outside before I came. I am like a sun junkie. Like I should not be living in Missouri. When I lived in LA, I was a drug addict, but I was very happy in the sun. But, oh yeah.
Well, and then we talk about hugs. Hugs build the immune system. Duh. It's the human touch. So what kind of dance do you do?
Dance? Well, me? Oh, I like house, electronic. I like it all. Okay. I will dance anything, but I love electronic music. And just recently, like, there's a house music, like, kind of club that opened up and I haven't heard like underground house. And I went and I was like, oh, it like fills my bones. I was like, right. Oh my God. And it just like, I just dance. I love it. I love dancing. It is, I could be in the car driving and now I've been really good about it. Like, I might just need to put that song on. But if I hear a song, it's just like, it's like taking a Xanax for whoever takes Xanax probably. Yeah. Like it literally shifts me that quick. It's pretty incredible.
Sleep is free medicine. Yeah, sleep is free medicine because if you don't get enough sleep, you're not really healing your body. Sunlight, for me, sound and light therapy, right? So sound, which is the music, and then the color, the colors. Oh my gosh, you can regenerate and rebalance your root chakra with the color of red and eating red foods, and so you can go up the spectrum of the chakras, and you can do all that to get free medicine. So I don't really think, like, I'm going to say this, but I'm going to piss off a lot of people. There's no excuse to be sick. Am I going to piss off a lot of people?
I don't agree with that.
No, what do you agree with?
So it depends on your family. I mean, some people, I feel like if you were raised by parents that didn't know better, like what if you're a single mom, you can't afford it, you're on welfare, you're doing the best you can, then you're just going to have shitty food, probably kind of a messed up gut microbiome. Maybe she didn't have time to breastfeed.
That's fair. That's fair. Right.
So like, you can't change that. You're a baby. So you're going to have to do some undoing at some point. But we can change that if we
Let me say, as an adult, when we know what we know, we shouldn't be sick. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
I was just recently sick and I didn't know. So I don't know. I think it's, but yeah.
No, you're right. You're right. Now, because like I've been sick so many times and, you know, different in my wrist, I'll get over this. I just got to get the emotions under control so it'll stop. But as a kid, I had allergies and I didn't know any better. My parents took me to an allergist. I had steroid shots from ages 4 to 16, just about every week. And then every other week or every month. I mean, it trashed my body. Then I had Lyme disease, my hair falling out and migraine headaches and thyroid problems and liver problems. But as I'm older now and I know what I know and I educate myself like you do with labs and tests and get to the root cause, you know, I mean, the sky's the limit.
Yeah. I mean, I think I think the biggest thing is people need to learn to really be an advocate for themselves. And that's, if we can teach people that you can fire your doctor, you can pick of the best, there's bad practitioners, there's bad everything, there's good everything. And that you got to be really proactive. Like you got to fight for your health.
Right.
And the earlier we teach kids that, like, I think it should be in health education classes, like the earlier we teach it, but like, there's a lot of girls that get, you get acne, you want to be cute, you're not fitting in, you already got the social emotionals, the social media, all that shit. You're going to go on birth control to get rid of the acne. If mom says I'll do it to the doctor, you don't know that you could do like a Dutch panel or a GI panel unless your mom's already done it. And I fortunately have a lot of like young girls, but the moms have done it. So then they know, but otherwise.
Yeah, because they go on Accutane and they do the birth control and then that causes more side effects. Because I had cystic acne and I tried to do the microdermabrasions, all that kind of stuff, the microderm stuff. Nothing really helped until I worked on my liver. But I was an angry kid and even into my 30s, I was angry. And, those little anger balls of cysts and acne and things that, like even it can be kidney stones can be that anger where you want to throw rocks at somebody or stones at somebody, but it comes out as kidney stones. Polyps in the colon can be, unsuppressed or suppressed anger. So many different things. And as long as we start educating ourselves and like you said, being our own advocate, I just really think that there's a lot of sickness that doesn't have to be. People do weight. Okay, so we're going to try to wrap up here. So you talked earlier about high stress and cardio, and there's good stress and bad stress. And when you're under a lot of stress doing cardio, we see a lot of young people having heart attacks and stuff like that. So there's just a lot of things that we can do for ourselves that will be healthier. So tell people how to get a hold of you and what would be the best way for them to reach you and your areas of expertise.
Sorry, my dog is digging. At least he's not masturbating. That's what that is.
He probably has to go outside.
It's probably his parasites. No. So the best way. So I am all over social media. So if you want free info, free medicine, free tips, free things to educate yourself, CFIT Living is my Instagram handle, and that's SEEFIT. Or sorry, that's my other CFIT, SEEFIT, and then living. So it's not like the letter C. And then www.cfitpt.com. And then Facebook, Samantha Lander, will link to all the other things. It's all integrated. So if you kind of Google me, you'll find all of it. But Instagram is where I house a lot of my.
And you have a detox program going on?
I do. I have a 30-day cleanse challenge that I am offering. So you can enroll now. You start sort of a week after you enroll. And that is a really good, like, if you're just kind of stuck and you want to learn what foods are the best foods for your liver and dry brushing and castor oil packs and detoxing the body, there's educational webinars. It's 30 days. You get one each week, tips on emails, workouts, all the good stuff. That's a good start before you would want to get into like a full big program with me. Or if you're ready to like really take it to the next level and actually run the labs, you just book a free discovery call. And that's where we do like the whole nitty gritty health history and find out all the good stuff about your health, which I love to do.
Well, I think you're absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much for your time.
For you.
I appreciate you so much, and I'm, we're both kind of hard, it's kind of like, we want people to do the best for their health. We want them to be proactive. We want them to, be the best selves that they can be. But yeah, I just love you so much. So thank you.
I appreciate it. I just got a guy to book the egg in town. I was just telling him about you. He booked it. So
nice. Thank you. Yeah, because you're over there in Missouri. Mm-hmm. All right, cool. Well, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. Hope you learned something from this. Hope it was beneficial, and you guys have a great day.
This show is not intended to diagnose, prevent, or treat any diseases or illnesses. The information presented within cannot substitute the advice of your physician or other trained healthcare professionals. The content of this show is for educational purposes only and is the expressed opinion of the show host and guests.